Hi, we're back. We're going to do another video. Today we're going to do the accounts of the four Gospels on the crucifixion of Jesus. All right, so we're going to cover what day Jesus was crucified, what time he was crucified, how long he's in the tomb, the witnesses that came to the tomb on Sunday, the instructions they were given, if any, and what they saw. Okay, so we're going to turn to Matthew 26:17 and get started. Matthew 26:17. Coming right up. We're going to do this in a couple different videos because each one's going to be a little bit long because there's a lot of detail and stuff to be talked about in each one. So, now on the first day of the feast, this is Matthew 26:17. Now on the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is the Passover Seder, which is happening on Saturday night, which is the first day of Passover. I know that's hard to understand, but in the calendar at this time period, when the dark came and the sun went down, that was the beginning of the next day. And people followed this and knew this. That the Bible writers knew this. That's why it's written this way. So this is at the end of Friday night for an American. Saturday begins. Kitty cats. At least let me get through one. Okay, so we are looking at Saturday night, and the Passover Seder is being eaten by Jesus and his followers. Okay, so that gives us a starting date. So next we're going to go to Matthew 27:1, and we're going to see what it says. All right, so when morning came, this means it's Saturday morning, because it was Saturday night when the meal started, and it's now morning. The chief priests and elders of the people plotted against Jesus to put him to death. So this is more of that anti-Jew speech that's in the New Testament, all over there. I'm not sure why they always want to do that, but I think I have an idea, because they're trying to sell you Christianity, and that is anti-Judaism, because it's grifting off Judaism. So we are looking at Saturday morning. Jesus is being handed over to Pontius Pilate. Okay. Now we're going to go to 27:45, which is on the next page here. It's right there in line. Now from the 6th hour until the 9th hour, there was darkness over all the land. So what we have here is, if we know if morning starts on Saturday, it's when the sun comes up. And this is around 6 a.m. So in the 6th hour, that is noon. And it says until the 9th hour, that is 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. So from noon to 3, we have this happening. And it says about the 9th hour, Jesus cried out. So he's been on the cross about 3 hours. According to this, we don't really have an exact account because they don't say. So we're looking at noon for crucifixion for Jesus in the book of Matthew. All right, and then he's going to rise from the tomb. Right, what day? Right there, Matthew 28:1. Now after the Sabbath, so this means Sunday, as the first day of the week began to dawn, that's Sunday right there, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to see the tomb. Now this Mary is the Mary, mother of James, I believe, and it's going to confirm that in the next gospel, I think, or in the first gospel, which is Mark. Okay, so we have Jesus, we have them coming to the tomb on Sunday, all right, after the Sabbath. So he was in the tomb for not very long. He was crucified the day before. So this is not 3 days. It's not 3 days. It's not even close. No matter how you look at it, we're looking at it. We're looking at something that's not what we're told. So now we're going to go to Mark and see what day it was, all right? Mark 14:12. All right, let's scroll here. Mark 14:12. I skipped right past it, didn't I? Did I? I have no idea where it's at. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking right at it and thought I was on a different chapter. Okay, so here we're going to discuss the first day of the unleavened bread again. This is going to be the Passover Seder, and this is Saturday night. Now, on the first day of the unleavened bread, when they killed the Passover lamb, they would have killed the lamb earlier that day, which would have been Friday, and that night they would have eaten it, which would have been Saturday, the beginning of Saturday. First minutes of Saturday are at the beginning of nighttime on what Americans see as Friday night. So here we have the same account. Now, Matthew copied from this. So these are going to be similar accounts, and Luke's going to be the same way. Mark was written first. Matthew copied and got many things exactly right, but added a bunch of stuff, which we're going to look at some point. And Luke did the same thing. Okay, so we have a reconfirmation that this is all happening on Saturday night, or Saturday, which would be Friday night for us. And this is the first day of Passover. They're eating the meal right there. So the next point is Matthew 15:1. We're going to see what we have here. Immediately in the morning, Jesus is going to face Pilate. So this is the Saturday. It has been overnight of Saturday night, or whatever, however we look at it, from our perspective, looking at the kind of calendar we have here. It is now Saturday morning, and they have taken Jesus to Pilate. All right, the chief priests held a consultation with the elders and the scribes and the whole council, and they bound Jesus. Okay, so here it is. He's being delivered to Pilate the next morning. So this is definitely Saturday. This is the first day of Passover, and they're going to crucify him. Now, Pilate asked him if he's the king of the Jews, and what does Jesus say? It is as you say. So he's not going to say yes. He's not going to say no, because Jesus is a mystery, man. Okay, he wants you to be confused, apparently, or this is Greek mythology. I think it's Greek mythology, because this is how Greek mythology is written. It's never certain. It's always up to the interpretation of the viewer or the reader, or for some scholar later on to tell you what it means, when they don't know either. So now we know we have the same account from Matthew and Mark. Jesus is being killed on Saturday, first day of Passover. All right, so we're going to go to 1525. And what is 1525 going to tell us? Now, it was the third hour, and they crucified him. Okay? It doesn't matter what the inscription is, because we're looking at the third hour. Third hour on Saturday would have been 9 o'clock in the morning. It would not have been noon. So Mark writes 9, and then Matthew copies it and writes noon. You'll see Luke does the same thing, writes noon. So they don't give us much other time frames for this. All we know is that it says 9 a.m. in Mark. Okay, so we have two different accounts already, both on the Passover, but at different times. Okay, so we're going to see when Jesus rises. It's going to be 16:1 in Matthew, or in Mark, I'm sorry. Now when the Sabbath was passed, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, there she is, and Salome brought spices that they might come and anoint him. So we have two problems right here. First of all, Salome has been added. She wasn't in the first one, or in the Matthew, according to the order of the Christian Bible. So there's a new person. There's 3 people, 3 women, and they brought spices to anoint his body. Now this is not cool. This is not okay. This is not a thing that was going on back then. The Jews were not doing this. This is culturally inappropriate, and because the body's dead already. He's been dead. He's been in the tomb for a day or two, however long he's been in there. They are not going to come and anoint the body. So what would happen is someone would die in this time period, according to Jewish culture. He would die, and they would immediately bring incense and spices and cover the dead body so that it wouldn't smell, and they would put him in the ground immediately. Okay, it would all happen right then and there that day. They would not embalm him for days and have viewings and stuff like that. It would all happen that day. So we have 2 major problems right there: a new person, and they're anointing a dead body that's been in a tomb. So this is not the way it happened, I promise you. I'm not sure why they wrote it like this, other than just to change the way it was really, so they could say, it was unique or something. I'm not sure why. They don't even know why. So now we're going to go to Luke 22:7 and look at this account again, because the 4 Gospels are, 4 Gospels are supposed to be covering the same time period and the same events, and there's a reason why the first 3 Gospels are called the Synoptic Gospels. Synonym, synonymous, and optical. It's 3 eyewitness accounts that are similar or the same. So there's your Synoptic Gospels. That's what it means, and that's why it's that way. And they copy off Mark. 2 of them do. So they have 3 Gospels that almost say the same thing and follow the same pattern. So there they are. That's why they're called that. Now we have Luke 22:7. Then we're talking about the Passover again. Then came the day of unleavened bread. So this is before the Passover Seder on Saturday night, which is before day. All right. When the Passover must be killed. And so we're basically looking at the same thing in these first 3 Gospels. Jesus is going to be killed the next morning on Passover, which is not okay. Okay? And John's going to know that. By the time he writes his book around 90 or 100 AD, he's going to know this and not make the same mistake, which is another reason why people find Christianity hard to follow, because it's not consistent with tradition, and the books themselves aren't consistent. So now we have Luke 22:66. It's a huge book. Pages and pages to get there. 22:66. Where did I put that? There it is. Okay. So Jesus is going to face the Sanhedrin now. In the others, he faces Pilate after the morning, but here he faces the priests and stuff. So as soon as it was day, the elders and the people, both chiefs, priests, and scribes, came together and led him to their council, saying, if you are the Christ, tell us. And he doesn't, of course. He does the same old thing. His magic man, wordsmith, he just works around it and leaves it all a mystery. But it doesn't matter, because we know right here. As soon as it was day, it is now Passover, it is Saturday, and that's the day they're going to kill him. Okay? Down here, 23, they hand him over to Pontius Pilate. Okay? Now let's see what time he died. So Jesus dies on the cross. Now it was about the 6th hour. So 6th hour we know from Matthew is noon, just like we know from Mark. The 3rd hour is 9 a.m. And we're going to see it was about the 6th hour. And there was darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour. So we have from noon to 3 again in Luke, saying that Jesus was killed in this time period. Now, he may have lived till 6 or whatever, lived before to the night, but I doubt it, because it would have had to have him in the ground that night. Now, he rises, right? On the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they and certain other women with them. So now we're looking at multiple and other women. So we're looking at probably 4, at least 4 or more. And right up here, we're going to find out who they are, but we'll of course cover that. It's going to be Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the other women with them. So we've added Joanna and some other women. Okay? What they're going to do is they're going to bring spices with which they have prepared to anoint the dead body, which is not okay. It's not normal. It's not Jewish custom, and there's no reason why it should be happening, but here it is. Okay? So we have Jesus being crucified at noon on 2 of the Gospels, and at noon on 2, and 9 a.m. on 1. Okay, so we got a problem right there. So now we're going to go to John 18:28, and we're going to see what he says about this. He's not going to say the same thing as the others. One of these things is not like the other. Okay, all right. Pilate's court. Let's go. We got to do the Passover first. 18:28. I must have skipped it. Oh, no, it skips all of it, doesn't it? Yeah, we're just going to start right here. So, then they led Jesus from Caiaphas to the praetorium, and it was early in the morning, but they themselves did not go into the praetorium, lest they should be defiled, but that they might eat the Passover. So what they're saying is the Passover hasn't came yet. The Passover Seder meal hasn't happened, and they don't want to defile themselves by being with this dead body, or being with the heretic, or whatever they're calling him, because they don't want to be defiled, and they can eat the Passover that night. The Passover Seder is coming later on in the evening, which would be Saturday, and they're going to kill him on this day, on Friday, the day before Passover, so that they can't, so they don't violate the Sabbath, which would make sense. But the other 3 Gospels definitely don't say that. Okay, so they've gone through all that, and here we're going to take them to Pilate. And it's still the same day, okay? When Pilate therefore heard what they were saying, he brought Jesus out and sat down in the judgment seat in the place is called the pavement. Okay, now it was the preparation day of the Passover. Okay, the preparation day of the Passover. So this was Friday leading up to Saturday. This is during the day before nighttime, so it is Friday. Okay, and that is preparation day, where they're going to kill the lamb, prepare the feast, get everything ready, because they're not allowed to do any other work on Saturday. So they got to do it all on Friday. So that's why you can't kill Jesus on Passover also, because they'd have to build the... It's just not possible. And the Gospels don't get it right. So what do they say? At about the 6th hour, this is noon, and he said to the Jews, "Behold your king." But they cried out, away with him, crucify him." So Jesus is crucified right here between noon and dark. So we have noon to 6. So we have 3 accounts that are telling us that he was killed from noon to 3 to 6, right? And around that time period, and 1 account saying he was killed at 9. The last account here, John, is saying he was killed the day before Passover, and the other 3 accounts are saying he was killed on the day of Passover. So the next video, we're going to cover the time in the tomb, and we're going to cover the witnesses that came. And if the video goes quick enough, we'll cover the instructions they were given and who gave them to them. Thank you.